are back. Welcome. Long summer off. We're back for year 3 of Jersey Baseball Show. We're starting out at the top. We have special edition as Team Toyota is proud to sponsor Jersey Baseball Show. We're here with the guy who probably might have had the best August of anybody in New Jersey when it comes to baseball and how things went. It's Will Kirk, the outstanding lefty from Ramsey High School. Crushed it on the national stage this August. Ended up ranked number 1 in the latest PBR ranking of 2024's. Thanks for dropping by, Will, and welcome to year 3 of JBS.
Thanks for having me.
Happy to. And we last saw you in June at Garden State games, and a lot of you were very excited about what was coming up this summer. It's good summer leading up to August, really the chance to take off, and a couple of awesome experiences dominating at East Coast Pro down in Alabama at Hoover. 3 perfect innings, 7 strikeouts, taking that momentum right over to area code games, 3 hitless innings, another 6 strikeouts. Tell me about the experience. Tell us about the experience of both those events, what they were like, and how it felt to do so great there.
Well, I mean, they were both like incredible experiences. I mean, it was just kind of surreal, like all the stuff they gave you. And then more importantly, like meeting a bunch of new faces, and like getting to know people that I'd met a little bit before. So that was a lot of fun. Also competing there was a lot of fun too. I really like to pitch against some of the best competition because I think that's like the best way for me to showcase like how good I am. So I was really looking forward to this summer pitching against some of the best competition in the country. And I guess I couldn't have even imagined it going as well as it did. So I'm very grateful for how well I did.
Yep. Now the velo's been moving up, and now we're right hitting 91, I guess, top now, and still obviously more to come. But it's kind of that like otherworld changeup that was the separator pitch for you. It seemed like in both events. Always been a great pitch for you. Where did that, the lefties with the filthy changeup, where did that come from? How did you perfect it? You feel like that's your kind of money pitch when you're facing elite guys?
Well, I mean, I've kind of always been throwing it since I was like 8 or 9. It wasn't really that effective when I was younger because I guess I like kind of threw too hard, so it didn't have enough time to move when I was like 11 or 12. But then when I got to the big field, it was a whole different game for me. I went from like one of the harder throwers to one of the slower throwers because I hadn't grown yet. So that was the pitch that like made me be able to pitch against some better competition. So it's probably been my best pitch like since I got to the big field. And then as I've gotten older, added some velocity, it's still been my best pitch because it keeps hitters honest. They can't cheat on my fastball. If they do, then I'll throw it and it'll be way out in front. And I think it also makes my slider better because it plays 2 different ways. One goes arm side, one goes glove side. So I mean, kind of always been throwing it, and I have a good feel for it, which is obviously the biggest key for changeups. You have to have a feel for it. You have to be able to throw it for strikes. And then I just try to like sell the arm speed, and guess that's where the deception happens.
Yeah. Now, what do you use as without giving away all the Will Kirk secrets? What are you using for your grip? Is it a circle? Is it, what do you how are you throwing?
So I hold my changeup just like this. It's kind of I guess
Kind
a
of.
subtle change. I don't really like fully put my index finger here, but it's kind of like rested next to my thumb. And then um for where I put my fingers, I kind of think like an inch or maybe like a half an inch below the seam is where I put like the crease of my fingers, and it just like rests nicely in my hand. And I feel like I have the best feel with this grip, and I'm able to get it to move the most.
So you go from Alabama cross country to San Diego. Um, North Jersey guy playing on the West Coast is always a fun thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, what was the area code experience like? Because I guess first go back to underclass area code. Didn't go as well because had to be taken. Never didn't get to complete the outing. You'll explain why, but I wouldn't call it redemption. But was it cool to even more cool to go there and just dominate the way that you did because of that?
Yeah, well, definitely after area code underclass, I felt like I had unfinished business out in San Diego.
Yeah.
So what happened was um oftentimes when I pitch, I cut my ring finger with my thumbnail, and I start bleeding on the mound. And that happened in the second inning, in my underclass start last year. Um, Nobody noticed the second inning, so I went. They had a bathroom in the dugout, so I like washed it off. It stopped bleeding. I go out for the third inning. It happens again. So now it's like dripping blood on the mound. I'm getting blood all over the baseball. There's two outs in the third inning, and I'm like, okay, I just got to get through one more batter. And then the ump gives me a look like, what's on the ball? And then he's like, is there blood on the ball? And I'm like, yeah. So I flip him the ball, and there's blood all over the ball. And he's like, are you bleeding? And I was like, yeah, my thumb cut my ring finger. So then coaches had to come out and they took me out. I was pretty upset about it. But this year, um, I was a lot more diligent about cutting my thumbnail really close so that I can't cut it on my ring finger. Um, and I mean, I just I felt really good in the outing. Um, Changeup felt good. Slider felt especially good, actually. I probably threw it more than my changeup, and I was just able to keep hitters off balance. Like I'm not really overpowering guys with my fastball, but I think since I can throw my other two pitches for strikes and they're deceptive, it kind of makes my fastball play up a little bit. So I was able to get some swing and misses on it. So yeah, overall, I'm very happy with the way I performed in area code.
Yeah, yeah. Now, obviously, the chance to play out there with Luke Dickerson, who will be joining you at UVA after next year as well. Bryce Message not out there on that trip, participating in the Team USA tryouts instead. But that's three of the top four guys from Jersey in the 24 class, all going to UVA next year. Tell us about this Charlottesville invasion coming up from the Garden State. Now, they've always recruited well in New Jersey, but it's got to be pretty neat to um, do that. We got to somehow get Bryce to elevate up to number three, right? To make that kind of a thing. But why UVA? And tell us about that whole experience.
Um, so yeah, I guess my recruiting kind of started last spring. Virginia was one of the later schools to show interest in me. But I had a really good connection with Coach Dickinson, the pitching coach, and also Coach O'Connor, the head coach. And they saw me pitch in Boston. And then then maybe a day or two later, I went down to campus for a camp. And then after the camp, they offered me, and I just knew that that's where I wanted to go because of the connection I had with the coaches, and it's a really amazing school, and they're competing for College World Series every year. So I don't know what more I could ask for.
Yeah, development's obviously there. Um, obviously the results, but you haven't faced off against Luke in an actual game yet, I don't think. But to be able to, how good he is, obviously, to be
Yeah.
able to play with him or have him behind you when you're playing in the future, got to be a cool thing.
Well, actually, Luke and I faced Luke at least once. It was in 2020 when we were 14. Um, and I was looking back through Game Changer. I saw that I struck him out, so I showed him that when I went out to area code to show that I struck out Luke Dickerson. Um, Now Luke's a great kid. I've been able to get to know him the past year or so. Very nice. Can't wait to go to Virginia with him. And then also Bryce too. We were actually roommates at East Coast Pro. Um, so I was able to get to know him better. He's a really nice kid. Um, Really interesting person. Um, he's and he's also incredible. I think he's a little bit underrated. Um, so I can't wait to go to Virginia with both of them and compete for a College World Series.
Yeah. But before you do that, right, you're one last go around at Ramsey High School, and that's one thing that you and Luke are now tied on is state titles won. Obviously, not the same group, so you're not going to be going up against each other for states. He won obviously this past spring with Morris Knowles. You got yours as a sophomore. Had that experience of dominating in the state final, beating a really good Haddon Heights team in the finals. What's it going to take to finish out on top this year, and how important is it to make a strong run at it?
I think we have a really good chance. I think this year we kind of we were still riding high a little bit on the state championship. Um, and maybe um I don't know, it we just didn't really come together as much as a team, I think.
No, and it's hard, right? Pascal Hills was really good.
Yeah, Joey Giordano brought his A game. All those
Yeah,
four hits. It was a frustrating game, and I was very upset after it. But
sure. But
uh,
there's so many good teams in Group Two. It's tough to win a state title at any level. But you know, again, he's gonna be in the same position as you, trying to make one more run at it. So be fun if that's the got to be the showdown at some point again. You think?
yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not looking forward to facing him, but I also want to go against the best. So, um, if it's another Ramsey Pascal Kills sectional final, um, I'd be ready for the challenge.
Yeah, epic games are always fun. What was it
Mhm.
like? Over a year ago now, but that moment winning the state title. It's a little bit different than the national scene, obviously. But describe what that day was like to win a state title. I mean, these are your neighborhood guys. They've been your guys, all the way up through the ranks.
Well, I mean, like, kind of that whole year, we were pretty dominant, but I didn't even realize like that we had a chance to win the states. It was always like that the state is so big, even though New Jersey's not really that big, but
Yeah,
um,
teams though.
it it just didn't seem like a possibility until we kind of rolled through our section, and then we beat Caldwell in the semifinal, and then it was like, okay, we're here. Um, so I had the ball, and from the gate, I knew that it was a really tough matchup. In the first inning, Caden Bodine hit an absolute rocket off of me. Um, my friends still tease me about that to this day because he
Yeah,
hit
well,
that ball. I don't think I've ever seen a ball get out as fast as he hit it. And then we weren't hitting that well either. They had a lot of good pitchers. So it kind of took a little bit of luck. They made a couple miscues in the field. We were able to capitalize on it and I guess we put up 5 runs that game on only 2 hits. And then I was able to settle in and limit the damage, and we ended up winning. So it was an amazing experience.
At least as far as Caden's concerned, you got to see him do that same thing to like half a D1 last year as a,
Yeah,
you
that
know,
made me feel a little bit better.
yeah, yeah, you're not giving up home runs to slouches at least. Um, Goals for this year coming up, right? I mean, to get to into the 90s more than just as a flash, but to be able to throw there now. Obviously, you see what it's done to all your stuff, but as you said, that was just a preview, right? So what are the goals coming up for next year, and how do you elevate your game now to the next level?
Individually, I guess my goals are try to get up to 200. I'm about 180 right now, so 20 pounds. I was heavier before, but I lost a lot of weight throughout the summer. That was my one problem with East Coast Pro. I didn't feel like they fed us enough, so I lost 6 pounds there. Um, but individually, I want to get up to 200. Obviously, lean muscle, for the most part, and then try to continue to increase my mobility and explosiveness, athleticism, and hopefully that'll help me um, get up to maybe 95, sitting in the low mid 90s, maybe touching 96. We'll see. I try not to focus too much on the number. Whatever it is, and I just try to like stay consistent with it. Like if you saw this year, I topped 92, but I didn't really go any lower than 87 or 88. So I was pretty consistent with my velocity. And that's something that I guess I kind of take pride on, is that I'm able to stay consistent throughout the game with my velocity and not fluctuate too much high or low.
Maintain it and go deep into games too, and obviously the help the team. You're 92 is great, but if you're 83, 84 after 4 innings, you're not finishing what you start, right?
Yeah, no. And then for my team goals, I was talking about this with some of them the other day. We want to win league, county, section, state. That's our goal. Obviously, it's ambitious. We'll see if it happens or not, but I think we have the pieces to do it. We just have to all work hard this winter, and then come spring, we have to execute.
What's the point of having goals if they're not ambitious, right?
Yeah,
Um, you know, gotta be mentioned at least. You've seen North Jersey arms get drafted. Um, it's not, now that you've kind of taken that spike again this summer and gotten on everybody's radar in this past month, it's not an impossible thing to talk about. Do you think that sometimes guys get too caught up, and you mentioned, not worrying so much about number, if it's 95, 96, it's not like that important, or, is it more important to stay committed to kind of your process to develop?
definitely. I think if um, I think a big thing that I believe in is that you can't love the result, you have to love the process. So I think that I've grown to love the process of working out in the off season, getting my throwing in, um, working on pitch design, everything like that. That's kind of the stuff I love. And obviously I love to compete too. But I think it takes both. Like you can't just say, I love being a great pitcher, but not love putting in all the work that it takes to become a great pitcher. So yeah, definitely. I think that development is a lot more important than just the results, because if you have the right process, I think that the results will come eventually.
And not being a high 90s guy right away, you've kind of had to learn the importance of, pitching isn't just velo, right? It's so many other things that go into it to being successful.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I'm hoping that, my body, my physicality kind of catches up to my pitchability. Um, but if not, I'll still be a good pitcher. I'll still throw 3 pitches for strikes, and I think I'll still be able to compete at the highest level, even if I don't throw 97, 98.
Couple of random questions for you before we go.
Okay.
Pregame routine. What's our favorite part, or the most important part of the pregame routine?
Staying hydrated. Um, I have a problem with I cramp a lot. Um, so I really hate cramping. So I always have to stay hydrated. I drink a lot of water the night before, and then the day of, I have a body armor to like keep my electrolytes balanced. So yeah, definitely staying hydrated is, I think, the most important.
Who had the most fun, unique, different, whatever you want to call it, superstition of anybody that you played with that you've seen?
Hmm. I have to think about that. Huh. I mean, it might be me that I never have any drip. Like I don't wear any arm sleeves. I guess I do wear a chain, um, but no drip and always high socks because when I was 9 years old, I pitched with low socks for the first time and I gave up 9 runs. So I said never again. Now I always pitch with high socks.
Can high socks count as drip? Or is that too common now?
It can, um, but not for me.
No. Um, One thing that we don't know about Will Kirk that we would be surprised.
Hmm. Um, um, I could play a little bit on the piano.
All right, so now I got to ask, when you say I could play a little bit on the piano, you're kind of a pretty humble. Does that mean like I can play a lot on the piano, or like what are we talking about a little bit?
Well, I've never like had formal lessons, but I think I have a good ear, so I can like if someone asks me to play a song, I can like sound it out and then play it for them after like 10 minutes. So, that's kind of what I mean by I can play a little on the piano.
Well, so that's natural piano. That's natural music ability. Then what are you favorite song to play, or most kind of coolest song that you played on the piano?
Um, I guess maybe I'm best at the national anthem, at playing it just like by sounding it out because it's pretty easy and like um I like learned it kind of by heart now. So yeah, I guess those.
So that's the goal, right? You make the majors, they have, and you get so good at the anthem by then that like you play it, then you go out and shove for a start or something like that.
Yeah, maybe that'll be the routine. Like when I'm pitching, I play the national anthem on the piano and then I go out and pitch.
Yeah. So we gotta first of all, I don't know that there's anthems played at Ramsey before the game, but we gotta let UVA know that first of all, right? I'm sure they're playing something beforehand. So let Coach O'Connor know, let Coach Dickerson know that's we got to find a way to work that in somehow. If it wasn't baseball, what would your sport be?
Basketball. I played up until freshman year. Um, I always kind of teased to my friends that I'd come back. Like last year, I was teasing it a little bit. This year, I was teasing it a little bit, but I can't go back.
They know.
There's too much risk of an injury.
Yeah.
Been away from the game for like 3 years. I'd probably just sit the bench. So
Yeah, no, they're not calling. They're not even trying to call your bluff on this one anymore. They know it's not happening. Important question: can Will Kirk dunk?
yes, he can. Um, it's the dunk package is getting a little better. Um,
It's a little limited, is that what we're saying?
um,
What's
I
the
mean,
most impressive? What's the most impressive dunk that you can do?
well, I'd say it's like a mini tomahawk.
All
Uh,
right.
so it's not like fully back like LeBron James, but
Yeah.
uh, it's not just like I'm just like laying it in there. Like I'm bringing it back a little bit.
Will Kirk pregame ritual. What's your favorite kind of pregame ritual on bump days?
Well, it's not exclusively on bump days, but before games, if I have gym class that day, I'll dunk in class, and then I'll have somebody video it, and then they'll video it, and then I'll send it to my team group chat, and I'll be like, "Lock in, boys." So yeah, I guess that was my way to hype the team up and more so hype myself up because I thought it was cooler than all my teammates did.
I was going to say who was most impressed, you doing the dunking or them them on the reaction?
I had a couple friends that I guess are kind of envious that I can dunk and they can't, but yeah, I think I was the most impressed.
How would you want opposing coaches to look to look at you and describe your game?
Um, I'd want them to say that I'm a good competitor, um, and also a respectful competitor. Um, I I like to I think that I do a good job of respecting my opponent, not showing them up. So I'd want them to think I'm a good, respectful competitor and someone that's hard to beat because I like to think that even if I don't have my fastball, I don't have my slider, I don't have my changeup, I can still get outs. I can still figure out ways to get outs. So that's what I mean by hard to beat.
Definitely, and I think the results have shown that. So whether it's part piano man, part dunk specialist, defensive specialist, you're not giving up much to the opposition for sure. Um, Exciting to see what you're going to be able to do this year. Take it the next step. It was a pretty incredible August for you, and as you said, just kind of a preview of what's to come, right?
Yep. Um, Hopefully we'll be talking in a couple months and I'll be able to say I'm up to 95 or 96.
Absolutely. Will Kirk, our guest, number one rated player in PBR's class of 2024, part of the Virginia Invasion that's headed there after their senior year of high school from Jersey. And what a great way to start year 3 of Jersey Baseball Show. Thanks for listening.